This is Jilliana Ranicar-Breese, and this is part 2 of my interview with Carole Railton. Tell me, Carole, how did you get into being an authority on body language?
I don't find it that easy to write. I'm dyslexic, and from a very early age, I used to watch people and get a feel for what was going on for them, and then I'd test it to make sure I was right. So it's quite a wild child, really, and I took that with me as I grew up. And then I was working for Xerox in the Middle East 20 years ago, and I had interpreters, and I didn't speak the language, and it was a very important deal, millions of pounds with the Algarve Bank, and I knew we'd lost it, but the interpreter was telling me something different. So I couldn't control what was going on because my conversation obviously had to reflect what he was telling me. And so we lost the business, and it was pretty harsh. And I vowed that I would learn everything I could about body language from that day. I'd already been trained in body language by Xerox because I've come out of sales, and then I'd had extra training because I was working in the Middle East, what to do if you're arrested, captured, that sort of thing. So there was the beginnings of it anyway. And I just read, looked up everything I could about body language, and then I started challenging the people who were the experts.
Would these have been American experts?
Well, the FBI guys are American, yes,
Right.
but the top guy's an Australian guy.
Really?
And I wrote to him.
What was his name?
I wrote to him and I said, you don't take into account breath. And breath is a fundamental of life. So I can no longer support your other work, you know. And that was it, really. I got my head above the parapet, and I started getting recognised.
I mean, had you got a background perhaps with yoga or
No,
anything
not at
to
all.
do with breath?
Excuse me, no, not at all. No, I just could see, you look at your breath. When you're really excited, you talk very quickly and take small breaths.
Yeah.
Sexually, your breath, when you're really in tune, they match. Sorry, I seem to have a cough. When you're very relaxed, your breath is very long. I could see that breath alternated depending on the situation you were in. So I found it vital.
Yeah,
And you'd only live for 3 minutes without breath. You can live for 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, but you can only live for 3 minutes without breath. So it's vital to life.
Yes. Very interesting.
And also we say someone's alive when they take their first breath, and they're dead when they take their last breath.
Right.
So for me, it was obvious, but it wasn't obvious to any of the other people who were working in body language at that time.
And when was this? How far ago?
It's about 20 years ago.
20. Gosh. So you're a pioneer.
Indeed. I'd like to think of myself as that. And subsequently, I've written books about body language.
Show me the book.
Okay, this is called The Future of Body Language, which is how to perform on multimedia. So it's looking at the fact that you see predominantly faces now, and you don't want your hands running up and down in front of your face. You want to see the person's face. And it also looks at video conferencing where you can see the person's feet, and tells you what you can tell from the feet, the direction they're pointing in, and how they are.
Really?
Indeed, yes. The feet, actually, is quite interesting. They're the least compromised, because you could read a book about body language, you could try and adapt your body language, but your feet nearly never lie. They're the first thing to move. If you're in danger, they propel you and move you forward. So the feet, it's really difficult to lie with your feet.
Gosh, never heard of that.
Okay, no, that's generally accepted by all body language people. That's not mine, but that's a fact. And so when I talked,
You should be working for the police.
Well, I did for a while. I did for a while, but now they're ahead of me with their knowledge. The FBI guys, they look at the feet first That's what they do first.
So what do the feet actually say?
Well, they say where you want.
You're talking about pointing in direction, but can you explain that?
Well, if I have my feet pointing towards the door,
Right.
and I'm talking to you, which I've now done.
That means you want to leave.
That's where I want to be. It's the future. I want to go there very soon.
Right.
If I've got one foot off, which I'm doing now, there will be a change in my voice pattern for sure. If I put my foot down, there will be a different tone. Completely different tone.
Gosh.
So the feet are a massive giveaway. Massive. Absolutely massive.
So you can tell if someone's lying.
It's very interesting. We don't say that because that's obviously, you could end up in court if you say someone's lying. So I've done work for stockbrokers, for instance.
Yes.
Where I've looked at CEOs giving their annual reports.
Yes.
Where they're saying to all the investment companies and the stockbrokers, we're going to do this next year and we've invested this amount of money and the result will be this. And I've been asked to look at those videos and say, is this guy lying? I can't say they're lying, but what I can say at a particular point, they were under stress. So that's what I do. I say at that point they're under stress, which is tantamount to lying.
Gosh. Yeah. So what advice can you give people?
About what? For what?
Well, I mean, in a social... Okay, this is a corporate situation.
Yeah.
How about a social situation? I mean, most people want to be liked. You can obviously work out when two people meet, but maybe they don't like each other. How would you tell?
How would you... it's very interesting because I've done talks for dating sites.
Oh, it doesn't have to be dating. It could just be, you know, I mean, there is life other than dating. You're just meeting people socially.
Well, I think if you go back, an easy route, but it takes a long time to learn, is to understand the breath of the other person. And how you do that is with the pauses they take. So if you start breathing in unison with them, and I think this is what people say, would you mimic them or copy them? No, because if they're swinging their arm around, you can't really do that. What you need to do is to get in line with their breath. That's why it's so important. And that was, as I said before, what people were missing. Your breath is an indicator of where you are in life, where you are in that moment in time. And so if you can mimic their breath or fall in line with their breath, after a while, if you do this properly, then they don't understand why they like you. But you're actually now in their space, you're in their environment, you're breathing at the same time.
Yes, because you wouldn't be normally saying to people, well, do you like me?
No.
Yeah, especially in British culture anyway. Well, most interesting. Thank you very much, Carole. Most informative.
Thank you.